Hi you guys, it's MJ from I UNPLUG. How are you? I just had a hat on, which is why my hair is a little bit messy. I received the message this morning that it's baby steps, that we want to be super duper like just ever so loving towards ourselves, because it's like relearning how to live here. And I think a lot of us are actually already established in the new paradigm with regard to the point of attraction. And also I received the message that it's like we're coming into completion for the light worker activation. And what that means to me is that there's like enough like minds and hearts aware and awake and endeavoring these transformational cycles that are breaking generational patterns based in fear. So density patterns, fear patterns, and increasingly, and I'm hearing this from not just friends but clients as well, as far as like, you know, 6 months down the line or a year and a half down the line or something or other, we can hit up against these edges of like it's not working, so we can, part of us wants to give up, and then there's like the other part of us that's like, why? What is life? Why have I done this to myself? Why have I chosen this? What's it all for? Just the pure relentlessness and the exhaustion of it. It's like running a marathon, you could say, spiritually speaking, because I would say part of what we're healing as well is the quick fix falsity of the system, which so all of this is, there's always sort of binary aspects to all of this, because I never want to deny someone's power to manifest instantly. I never want us to deny our power to heal instantly, and that's here now. I never want to deny our power to really live and make manifest the dreams that we're desiring to live here and to be here. At the same time, I'm so acutely aware that the way we've been indoctrinated, mentally speaking, i.e. in our consciousness, so that's what we project back into the field, is a lot of misery, discontent, and contempt for one another. And so we have all of these divisive, which you could say is symbolic of our own fractal, our own fractalized beingness. So it's like, I remember a dream when I was really little of me just being in this like big maze, and I was flying. And I reckon a lot of us have flying dreams here. So I'm like flying through this sort of like maze, but it was more fun, like a fun maze, and I'm like flying through the maze quite intensely, like looking for these little balls that I had to go collect. And of course, like so often, some of my earliest vivid dreams, they stick with me because they're relevant to how I'm putting the puzzle together, you could say, or how I'm connecting the dots of my own star system, right? And like, we are resonant beings because of our journeying through the cosmos, not just the planet Earth. And yet there's plenty of beings on this planet Earth, which I like, really, we're the Earthlings, that maybe don't have these different origins, certainly not as directly accessible due to the, again, the kind of low level base tone reincarnation system that we've been kind of blindly all looping back into. So now that we have this embedded, corrupted motherboard energy kind of lifting off of the earth realm, what I'm feeling, and I think there's this, so the polarity here is like just confusion, and just, I'm hearing like the Neptunian energy of like, like the confusion and like the what is lifeness of it all. And then, oh, obviously, and then the relevancy to the share is baby steps. Like when you're brand new and you're just like, you know, take one little baby step at a time. And so everything right now sort of feels like this. Everything right now has this feeling to it, to me, of like, you can't, in my beingness, I'm like that drunken baby kind of feeling of just like, ah. And I mean, on a side note, on a physical level, I don't know if you guys ever get that, but like I get that a lot, of like increasingly in these last couple of years, like walking around, it literally feels like floating on air. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. And so yes, this is relevant, and there again, I think that's why I've added the kind of element here of up-leveling love. And if we could, for a moment, just regard ourselves as babies, or regard to ourselves as babies, like just baby steps. It's like relearning how to fucking walk. It's relearning how to not, well, fucking and walking, who knows, right? But it's like relearning how to live on this planet, because we were all missold. We were all deceived. We were all, but then that's the kind of original sin story. It would appear that's the story that this humanity is wanting to tell itself in order to have this awakening experience. So yeah, think of yourself as just this tiny little baby who's learning how to walk, who's learning how to breathe, who's learning how to like be alive in these bodies from a place of innocence and curiosity, not a place of these bodies are the devil's work, and that you should live in denial of everything you desire and everything you feel, and just wait until you die. Just be a slave until you die. Just hate yourself until you die, kind of thing. And that's obviously a grand generalization and quite a heavy-handed perception. But that's sort of been part of my observation and experience here. And here I am today, sharing on this platform, facing the residue of my past, facing the suffering of my entire life's journey, going, there's this whole part of me all over my body that would have me believe I'm never going to be free from my pain. I'm never going to be joyful like those other girls out there, or I'm never going to whatever, never, you're not allowed, you're disgusting, you're horrible, you're da-da-da, you know. And I can witness, whether it's a thought frequency going through my mind, whether it's like feelings of like ugliness and discomfort in my body, whether it's interactions that hit me and make me want to cry, like all of it is like thick and fast residue of a past patterning of bass tone bullshit, basically. And someone climbing out of these low-level bass tones, I just reflect back like, really, like the large majority of people are just in it. And often the ones who think they're like well-adjusted and normal, or the, you know, the families that try to pretend like they got their shit together and they're this, they're that, like sometimes I just feel like that those are the most dysfunctional. The people, yeah, who think that they're still living in the cookie cutter Truman Show, right? And so, yeah, no shit, awakening is a little bit destructive. No shit, like our whole world falls apart because our whole world is based in lies and corruption, right? And really the way we harmonize that is to own it and see the entire world stage as a reflection of our own state of being. And whenever we come up against the challenge, or whenever we come up against the pain, when we own it, we can actually transform it. When we own it, we can actually harmonize part of the conflict and have a vibrational shift, which allows us to perceive from a broader perspective rather than a denied perspective, which you can imagine is sort of like half-assed or like not fully there. You know, denial to me is really just our cutting ourselves up, and it can be incredibly painful to do it to other. And yet usually I would say we do what we do. you know, and I'm not here. I think that the point of us empowering ourselves is to be anchored in our centered truth enough to catch things when they're a little off, and then like be like, hold up, you know, no. Or certainly these last few years for me, increasingly, yeah, almost 3 years now, the biggest bit was like big turning points in my life, in relationship, where I really had to stand up for myself in my intuitive knowing, when people were manipulating me, or people were trying to use me, or people were harboring maybe jealousy or resentment and they couldn't be honest with me about it. And my intuition just knew at this point, if they're trying to sidestep that, then we're not going to be able to work together. We're not going to be able to really be friends even. You know, when you catch people out in lies, it's uncomfortable. When people that you once thought were like really, really good friends, and then you find out they've lied to you, or they've been talking shit behind your back, or they've been, you know, and then you realize, there's been a false, there's been a mask, there's been a projection, and now the underlying energetic truth of what people carry, that's what bubbles to the surface. And oftentimes what we find is that we're at different points of our journey. Some of us might just be crowning out the head out of our mother's vagina, and then other people, we might be popping out, and for some of us, we might be a little bit further down. We might actually be taking baby steps, right? But I feel that there's these waves coming, and so there's this little cheesy part of me that's like, you know how like there's a lot about like the event and da-da-da, and I feel like we're all like anticipating and moving towards and la-la-la, and like something's gonna shift and something's gonna break and something big's gonna happen and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm kind of in a weird way reversing all that to be like, it's already done. Right? It's weird. So it's already done, the event. It's all like, we're already here. We're just planting trees and rooting things in and kind of coming into greater alignment with other beings so that we can move forward with greater clarity. But it's not out there. So yeah, the reason where this is coming from is that I think, so people might find me, they might find the book, they da-da-da, and they have a breakthrough. So they face their first, say, emotional storm consciously, and they acknowledge the depth of their emotional field, and they suddenly acknowledge, whoa, there's great power here. Oh, wow, amazing, holy shizba. It's like when we first read The Secret and we're like, oh my God, I can manifest my life and my dreams just by thinking it. And so we like have a couple weeks where we're super like thinking certain thoughts, and then it doesn't happen, and then all this other shit goes on, and all this stuff comes up, and we're like, what do we do with life? Hence, enter the Fearless Life Guide and the emotional field. For some of us, I would say what we're true, the true reality is that in our cells and our DNA, we're actually carriers. We're carrying energies that want to be shed, basically. And so, especially some more of my long-standing clients that moved from my kind of yoga journey and then started doing the coaching with me, and sort of took a leap with me and started really resonating with the work and wanting to endeavor it. And like a year and a half or 2 years later, only a very few are still with me in that regard. Since publishing the book 3 years later, what we're still having to like face is this idea of like the relentlessness of it. And this is something where I see a lot of spiritual bypassing going on, is that people go on these retreats, or they go in these sort of, again, healing or special or really beautiful environments where, well, yeah, they're going to heal and they're going to have these emotional experiences and they're going to have these clear outs, and that's amazing. But then they go back to the world, and then that gets left there, and the world, we go back into the patterns of our conventional world, and we negate to take responsibility back home, because weirdly the human mind would say, oh, I did that healing. And I've watched this time and time again in the well-being industry, in the yoga. It's like people finish a yoga class and they say, back to the real world. And I was always somebody who was like, what the fuck, people? Why isn't this the real world? practices that create well-being, practices that create mental health, practices that help us sensitize so that we can make better choices and eat better food for us in alignment. And yet we're all going, oh, well, that the world is just a big pile of shit. All the good stuff we're just going to have to compartmentalize and put into little boxes for the rich people to consume. It's like, and I think that's where we have this sway of self-responsibility, is that people from all walks of life are making these changes and learning about it and empowering themselves to do it. And so we undercut and or simply boycott energetically anything that is corrupted, anything that is still manipulating, anything that is still like, yeah, trying to make us think we're not powerful, anything that is trying to make us think that we're never going to be free from some of the patterns and the shackles. And I know there's a lot of us feeling it directly in our bodies. For some of us it will be people returning into our lives. For some of us it will be having to go over certain situations and conversations again. However, this is the spring. We're now really leaving it up again. I don't know the astrology because I'm not an astrologer, but what I'm hearing now is that now we're finally like, we're over the biggest hump, as it were. But bear in mind this, that we don't go back to anything ever that we knew. And I think that's what for a lot of us, i.e. the baby steps, is starting to be a little like, like, because it's like we've stepped out. It's over. We've already stepped out. We've already had these awakenings. We've already linked arms, a lot of us. And so, you know, at this point, we all feel it. If one of us breaks the chain, we go back. But we've already been there, done that. And so there's not 1 ounce of us really that wants to go back. There might be parts of us grieving. There might be parts of us having to face and acknowledge, once again, some patterns that we've carried for millennia and or multiple lifetimes, right? So it's okay that we continue to face it, and yet what we really want to vision and stare at in the inner eye is the truth of our hearts knowing. How do we look? How do we sound? How do we feel? How do we show up in this world? How do we use our resources? How do we channel our resources? How do we shine? How do we teach? Really just by example, right? Just by living the life that we, in our purest heart, have desired to feel and pioneer and see. You know, I often just see visions of me frolicking about a field with those little daisy chain things, dandelions, frolicking about a field in a white dress. My hair is all long. I'm a proper hippie, you know, but I have had that vision since I can remember, you know, just, and it's classic. It's like that classic filmic thing where I can see like the sun rays hitting against different things, and I'm free, and it's just me. And I know my, I can feel that the emotion, and I know my body, I know how it feels, and I know right now what I'm facing is like all of the programming from my family and all the programming from my beingness, and it's fear. It's visceral, tangible, cyclical fear that I'm just, every time it comes up, I'm looking at it from every different angle, and I'm facing it, and I'm feeling it, and pardon me, you guys, and I'm loving it. And that's sometimes the weirdest, saddest bit is like, how do we love the feelings which represent hatred and masking and loneliness and shame and, you know, and yet when we're really quiet with ourselves, we just can just be like, oh, you really want to be felt. You really want to be heard, you know? Not run away, not exercised away, not drinking it away, not smoking it away. You want to be felt, you know? And like this is just how powerful our consciousness is. Our consciousness can do that. It's discernment, discipline, and then awareness with the subtleties of where we're directing our focus, where we're putting our attention. Am I putting my attention on how much I hate myself and how I'm never going to be free? Or am I really putting my attention on, wow, thank you. Like, thank you to my body for teaching me such depth about this life. Thank you for my awareness, and my friends and my family and my persecutors or my perpetrators. Like, thank you to every single human ever that has allowed this experience to unfold in the most divine and miraculous ways, to the point that my old programming is having a real tricky time going, no, you know, this is how it works. This is how it's been programmed. This is how the world is. This is how you are. And deeper within, I'm going, oh no, we got it kind of off. We flipped it. And that's interesting. That's an interesting little story we've been telling ourselves about our condition here, about our power here, and all of that. But actually, none of it's true. Like, we're super powerful. We can create whatever we want. We can be whatever we want. Like, even our bodies, we could grow back our arms. We could shapeshift. We could go from being a size 2 to being a size 22, just like that, just by channeling and focusing our mind. The delayed effect is part of the Dark Ages, the Dark Ages infinity loop that the Earth's trajectory is always on. It's part of this idea of the regeneration or the generation station. It's a station of unfolding. It's a station of unfoldment and of evolution, of soul evolution, of soul growth evolution. It's this. It is that, and we all. We answer a call, or there's a part of us that sees, is aware of certain energetic dances that unfold here, and we kind of come along for the ride. Those that aren't permanently sort of based here through conscious choosing, right? And it is a glorious, glorious planet. However, in all of our universal unfolding, there's always a binary ebbing and flowing, a rising and falling, and an up and a down. And Earth has just gone through its cycle into some of the darkest parts of its solar system, of its galaxy. And so it's picked up some cruds, it's picked up some things, and then it's moving into these lighter frequencies where some of us, because of where we're from in this galaxy or multiverse or various other parts of the infinite void, we descend and or land and or attend for our own personal experience. And like, I'm saying this and I can feel there's like this weird ego edge to it all. And here's the thing, there really, really isn't. Like, really, you could see each single being as their own universe. You could see each single being as their own world. You could see each single being as their own star system. Every one of us is just so divinely unique that there is no hierarchy when it comes to soul's growth and evolution. And yet it would be sort of interesting to note that when souls have been through some certain lessons and initiations, we become better at holding space for a soul that is yet to venture into that initiation, for a soul that is yet to uncover that veil. And that's why we have teachers and guides and spirit guides and real human guides. You know, that's the sense why we've created these parameters for us to feed off of and learn from until we don't need them anymore. And that's part of us facing our density until we don't need it anymore. When can I purely be done with it? When can I let go of the story? When can I when I choose to. And that's been the work over and over these last few months, because I choose to, because I what is the expression Sasha uses? Like a fixed point. These last few months, swimming in the deeps, it's been about, no, stay right here and fix your gaze. Like, fix your point. That's not the expression. Of course, his use of words is phenomenal. A fixed position is the expression he uses. You know, I have to fix my position, and that's precisely what I've been doing. And well, and I'm just here sharing it with you. I'm looking forward to the way things unfold, and yet I kind of can't get over these recent more subtle shifts of like how we're working on the subtlest of levels, and on the gross of levels. It's just mind-blowing and shape-shifting in our reality, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I really wouldn't, now that I've become so accustomed to just processing and being with my emotions. For me, again, there's just a greater sense of innocence, there's a greater sense of joy, but that's not to deny any given day or a series of months or a series of whatever, where back to back, and that just has to do with how quickly we're willing to shift things. So I could hold the phone, like I could process the storm and go, I da 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 da. But then that can often kind of slow down the shift. That can slow down, i.e., most of us are aware that as long as we're living in denial, we're not going to get there. Or as long as we're, you know, avoiding that little conflict thing over there, we're not going to be able to get there. So there seems to be just par for the course, these like initiations, these tests, these like, are you really ready to be free? Are you really ready to own your shizbutts? Or do you still want to shit on other people instead of anchoring it, instead of transforming your shit into diamantes? But so long as we're just still putting our shit and trying to stir our shit up everywhere, because that's more familiar than owning it and becoming vulnerable and, you know, not controlling everybody to try to suit our needs. Once we realize that really is a more harmonious, better way to be, and more and more of us are on board, and we're not here to kind of dump on each other, we don't want to blame each other, we don't want to fight anymore, and then we can start to break down. But as long as somebody just is going, yeah, okay, fine, but still, do you want to take some of my shit? And you're like, no, because it's yours, because I've got enough of my own, thank you very much. I don't know where I'm blabbing on now. Baby steps, that links, doesn't it? We all shit, therefore we're all still babies, therefore we could try to love ourselves and just be kind, because like all this new paradigm, it's like brand new planet almost, you could say. Thus everything we thought we knew is not the truth, and in fact whole bunch of things that would have blown our minds to smithereens is actually true. Our power, I'm hearing something about the galactic coding with regard to Earth's alignment in this galaxy, Stargate, I'm hearing. All of it has something to do with how we're being activated right now. And speaking from my point of attraction, you guys, I'm definitely speaking to a generational shift. This is a global, cosmic and divine generational shift, which is going to fundamentally shapeshift, push the needle or move the needle of what we call that old paradigm systematic way of being here. That's out the door. So we're just having to keep sharing and anchoring and sharing and anchoring and integrating and doing what we need to do to just keep showing up from the heart space and walk away from the bullshit. Because let's be honest, if somebody wants to hold on to their bullshit, they can, but none of us, and this is what I'm seeing some freedom breaks in highly toxic situations of you know, covert narcissism or passive aggressive, people dealing with like people who have like sociopath tendencies as well. So like those different categories, we're seeing big shakeups and breakups now around that, because certain dynamics, whether they're work situations, friend situations, family situations, they're all falling apart because the enablers are starting to realize, oh my God, I've been enabling this shit behavior. And it really is shit behavior. It's cruel, it's mean, it's dark, it's twisted, it's pitting people against each other, it's constantly moaning and complaining like you know, like one is the only thing, like there's the only reality. And that's something that really we all have to work through on an egoic level, is to not be up our own arses when it comes to what we think we want. And yet none of it is, how do we know? We don't know until we know, right? We've been there, we've done that, or not, or we're in it, you know, like we don't, to each their own, everyone's on a journey. But yeah, I'm seeing like another up level in the love vibrashe, and the up level is ultimately what's helping more veils come off, which is helping more groups, consciousness, communities, see another layer to the whole story and then make decisions based on that. And here's the thing, ultimately, we all know how difficult it can be to walk away from abusive and toxic situations, and yet nobody stands a chance of healing if we do. You know, like a woman being hit or abused at home can make as many excuses as she wants and can say, yes, I love him, but it's often not until she dies or that he kills her that she decides, yeah, I need to walk away, or kills the children. So it's only a kind of nudging to say, just do it now, rip the rug under, walk away when we know it hurts us, and walk away with love. That's the thing. I do get that. Having all this love for these people, or really caring and really wanting to show up and realizing they don't love themselves. They're smoke and mirrors. They're talking the talk. They're saying, oh yes, yes, that's true, yes, but really what they're doing is just sucking energy and not anchoring it into their heart. Still every day expecting other people to bend to their ways and thinking, well, I love myself, everyone should behave like this. And this is, I would say, when it comes to generational and karmic healing, is that what's coming up now is like, for a lot of that middle class or that upper middle class echelon of society having to face a bunch of the deception, and then the egoic attachment to superiority, because that's where this stuff, I find that that's where the title term came from me, is that people in their superiority felt like they were justified in treating me a certain way because they were the elder, or they were the upper class, or they were the one with the business or whatever, and so they had license to treat me like a slave. And yet in my learning, what I realized was that I'm enabling it. I put myself in that situation. I did this to myself, and I can either continue to, which is making me feel like shit, which is increasingly making me angry, which is blah, 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 or I can just walk away. And it's amazing to me, and straight up, in past cycles, if I didn't walk away, this situation would push me out of it. You know, like if I was getting those certain patterns come up and I was trying to rationalize, eventually once I was on the path, it just, and here we are today. Here we are today, someone who, like, you know, has been on this awakening spiritual journey most of her adult life, if not her entire adult life. And all these years later, I'm still peeling back veils around narcissistic abuse, like covert people who act all nice to your face and pretend to be all spiritual. And then, wow, when shit gets tough, boy, oh boy, they don't want to fucking know you, you know? Or like, or worse, they'll go around like spinning lies about the character that you are, about the person you are, which of course is actually more of a reflection of their unconscious shit. You know, their own bullshit that they don't want to face, their own lack of gratitude, their own lack of compassion, right? And then they just put it on the empath for trying to protect itself. Anywho, a little bit of a rant actually there, but I'm sending you guys loads of love. Just holy shaz. It's later today. I actually had a bit of a lie-in this morning. I've got lots of editing. I've got lots and lots of editing to do, but I'm so looking forward to it. You know what it's like though, once you start to get to the end or a completion, once you start to get to the completion point of like a quite a big deal project, it's like, they're, again, binary. There's this super excited part of me, and then there's this other part of me that's like, come on, you're gonna get it done. Like, so yeah, feel free to check it out, you guys, if some of you guys wanna join for fun. It's 144 pounds. Every week there's some case study. I've got new and old, as in I've got some cooking tutorials from like way back in the day when I first started YouTubing. I figure why not? Those are really, I've got actually the reason I use those videos is that I've got a much better kitchen. You'll notice the first few weeks of me doing the cooking, the vegan recipes, the angles and stuff in my kitchen here just ain't great. And so because I have probably almost like the perfect amount of food tutorials, I'm just gonna use those. You've got carrot and ginger juice tutorial. You've got my classic smoothie tutorial. You've got some nut balls, some how to make some vegan nut balls, and then what else? Oh, I think I might have put in like a healthy green lunch and even some healthy spinach and beans, or beans on toast, which is like a classic dish here in the UK, which is usually vegan anyway, but I like to add a bit of spinach and make it a little bit more like super foody, a little bit kind of more substantial. Plus I tend to buy the baked beans that they don't have sugar in them, and they use more organic ingredients. So those are the baked beans that I usually like to use. So I'm super duper aware of the subtleties right now. There are new energies coming in, which is of course why I've titled this The Baby Steps, because so the baby steps piece is kind of why we need to be uber duper loving. You know, like the brand new mom is the most like like nurturing mama. I'm never given birth, so I don't know it firsthand, but from friends and family, I get that like the first time mom giving birth is the most like, yeah, just she needs to be with the baby and she needs to care for it and she needs to da-da-da-da. So I'm kind of getting that sense toward the self of like, we just popped out. We've been gestating underground for a while and we're just like popping out. And so, you know, our stems we're delicate and we wanted to be really like, is it safe? Is it safe for us to move forward and be safe to ourselves? If today's not the day, don't do it. If you don't want to force yourself out there, don't do it. If today you want to have another duvet way, do it. If you want to get your hair done, do it. If you want, I did another glycolic peel, FYI, which is part of why the skin is looking extraordinarily shiny today. But I'm running low on that. And I can just feel, by the way, my birthday is approaching. It's Aries season. So like my mom's birthday is April 3rd and my birthday is April 5th. And I just sort of feel like, yeah, we're here. We made it. We made it to this new world. We made it to this new earth. But let's be honest, climbing a mountain or running a marathon or, you know, undergoing absolutely total transformation in pretty much every single area of your life, that is not some little, you know, skip along the park. It's like this total, it's like the whole world like imploding and then birthing itself up again. That's how it, to me, transformation, because transformation is the ultimate aspect of this realm of destruction and creation. Inhale, exhale, rise and fall. This duality is part of it, but what we're doing as a consciousness, instead of being the like and being the dictated to, thinking that that way of being is outside of us, so we have to control it, you know, we have to try to fix it in place, stop it moving, make it not go up and down, it's too annoying. It's like, oh no, we have to expand beyond that so that we can be still. Not that we can go in the motions and like try to control it, because it's like the classic thing of, if you're gonna fall, relax. And any of us who've done that know that like if you relax, you're less likely to actually break a bone or injure yourself. Which again, all this stuff can be kind of counterintuitive, but it's kind of how I see all of this stuff. The more we can just relax and enjoy the ride, baby steps, just be love, just love yourself. We'll just ride it out. We'll just continue to ride it out. But remember, we're the center point. We're the creators, not outside of us. There's nothing there except for what we've already been creating for millennia, right? So all we need to do is keep pulling in all the shit that sucks ass and then come from a more mature place. It's like the entire human species. That's evolution, right? It's like the entire human species is just up-leveled, and i.e. a quantum leap in our evolution. So we're like, oh, whoa, like it's all new, fuck. And then it's like baby steps. Let's relearn how to be in these bodies from this more powerful, expanded point of attraction, so that we don't destroy ourselves. So we don't corrupt ourselves and one another anymore. Been there, done that, right guys? Okay, love you guys. Have an awesome day. I appreciate you. I love you. And yeah, love, heart, vibrashe, virtual hugs. Oh, look. I love how it's like my skin is oh. And then I was thinking how you guys could basically track my cycle. Every time I have a breakout, Molly's premenstrual. Every time I'm a little bit extra emotion, Molly's premenstrual. Well done, you. Have an awesome day, you guys.